How you brothers and sisters doing tonight? I figured I'd get you guys into this quick one that I'm going to do right here. Yeah, I was just been looking at a lot of documentaries, and I was looking over there at Burkina Faso and what they doing over there and how they're bringing the Sahara, excuse me, into that group over there with President Traore. South Africa just joined. So they got about five or six, probably more countries over there in Africa that's joining Burkina Faso. And they way of life and how they taking back and kicking up the colonizers, French, the Western, all them Europeans that was over there gouging, for the uranium, gold, diamonds, and all the strategic metals that they had over there. They kicked all them out. So look like it's gonna be a little war over there. But y'all remember the wars of the pyramids? 6, 7,000 years ago, maybe longer. Due to Mud Duck and then, of course, the Enki and Enel. They were all over there fighting over land, the worship of the people and stuff like that. Which brings me to the same thing that they had over there, climate control. That's what I wanted to speak a little bit about tonight. How they set the climate, not just with religion, but with all of these different types of forces and frequencies that they got going on uh, uh, here on Earth, all around, especially in Babylon, America. Um, I kind of wanted to just touch on a few things, but I also wanted to tell you guys Tuesday, under City Lights with Eddie Dynamite, we're doing the parallel difference between Tiamat and Sophia. So that's going to be a hot one right there. So y'all need to tune in on that one. We're going to have that one out. Do it Tuesday. We clocking around anywhere from 8 to 10 p.m. I want you guys to tune in and listen to. It's going to be a very interesting subject. Back to the climate control thing. How they setting the stage, and like I say, that's just the fight over there that's going on. How Russia, China, and Korea uh, is now on the African side. Especially Burkina Faso, which is it was a smart move on the president over there on how to bring in other powerful countries, because America and French was just gouging them and just leaving Africa poor. They've been doing that for 60, 70, 80 years, longer than that actually. I think it's been over at least 1,000 years that a lot of these countries has been over there in Africa, especially the United States. But they wasn't no United States then, of course. But conquering Africa, uh, other during the Renaissance and stuff like that, on how they was over there fighting. Everything was about Africa. In the modern days, the last 100, 200 years, they really been over there, gouging Africa for all its strategic metals and stuff like that. But, I just kind of wanted to break that down because we got to understand the powers behind that. Of course, it's the conquistadors, the people that look like us and they ain't us. They've been talking about that with Rod Hayes and Richie and a few other people. Even Mama T touched on it. I kind of like her. I've been listening to her, and I've been, you know, uh, studying some of the forces besides the Anunnakis. Whether people believe in it or not, I know it's real because I done seen one of the little graves. It was in my room, and I told y'all that probably over a year ago when Eddie and I on the City Lights with Eddie Dynamite was talking about, uh, some of the weird things that happen in our lives. And I touched on the little grays, and I couldn't move, and I woke up, and that little sucker was standing right by my bed. So see, when you know what you know, can't nobody tell you that it ain't real. See, I know it's real. I done seen it because I was on the vibrational frequency. And I started seeing these things because I've been studying for years, over 50 some years. I've been studying metaphysics. So I'm on that frequency to where I can see them, and they will show themselves to let you know they are real. They only come to people that that's on that frequency. Let me say it like that. Uh, Getting back to what I was saying, I know that it's more than one group of species that's running Earth. That you got the reptilians, you got archons, yeah, supposed to be the dimensional beings. Sophilia's group. We'll get into that Tuesday. Then you got Tiamat's group. We'll get into that Tuesday about the Anunnakis. Uh, the Pleiades, they got their fingers in their hands and some stuff. In my book, The Creation of the Creator, right now Eddie is doing the editing and stuff like that. Eddie is my partner. He the one helped me set my stuff up here, and he got other City Lights with his Dynamite. So we have been talking for about 5 years. We had this up and running for a good 2 years now. We just don't get on it because I've been listening to a lot of these other brothers, that's got their podcasts and stuff. I just been listening to some of the stuff they be saying. And not to get ideas on how to run my podcast because I got my own thing. Like I say, I've been studying for years. But studying, listening to what they're saying, and then going back, getting my own receipts about some of the subjects that they have. Blue pill, red pill, Dr. Reverend Valentine, Bobby Hemmitts, uh, uh, and Dave Calloway. I've been listening to a lot of these brothers, and some of the things that they've been saying, and 19 Key, you know, getting my own receipts from some of the stuff that they be saying. I studied it. I said, okay, so I'm finding the same thing they find it on the internet, unless they're telling you that they're getting downloads from their ancestors and all of that, which I'm not going to disagree with that. Maybe they are, but you got to prove that one. Yeah, that's got to be proven to me. I know that I've got downloads from my ancestors, so to speak. I ain't just saying I'm just kicking it with Auntie Sarah or whatever. She talks to me all the time and tell me what's going to happen. No, I ain't talking about that type of connection. I'm talking about some real uh, receipts and keeping it all the way real, and not just trying to get somebody to put some money on my cash out. So getting back to NL and Enki and all of these wars over there with the Palestinians, Israel, Iraq, and um, Burkina Faso finna go to war in the Sahels with France because they threatened them over there, and Russia's threatening them, and America want to come in because they're getting gold, and they got air control over here for years, over 100 years, and now they then kicked them out, and so Trump he tripping, because a lot of these uh, big superpowers such as America, I wouldn't consider France a superpower, but they back by a superpower, which is America and America's allies, and they all kicked out. And he brought a whole new, different type of regime in there. He brought uh, Korea in there, China, and Russia that replaced the Europeans, the West. Very smart move, very smart move. And they come in, straight up and down instead of being conned and bullied. They got tired of being bullied, man. They didn't kill everybody over there. You know what I'm saying? That's how to speak of Africa. Put Nelson Mandela in there for 27 years. Killed Latrice Lumumba, Sekou Toure, that other little young brother that was over there in Burkina Faso uh, in the, I think it was the 50s. And he came into power in the 60s. He got crossed out by his best friends and stuff like that. But these type of wars are being fed by a lot of these different types of spirits. You can call them spirits. That's what the Christian gonna call them, of the devil. But we know that it's a bit more uh, to that story. These are physical beings. These ain't no damn spirits. They put their shoes on one at a time unless they got slip-ons and slip your feet in there at the same time. But pants legs for sure one at a time. They shit and piss just like we do, and don't none of them shit grapes or piss ginger ale. So they just like we are. So what I wanted to just say was a lot of these wars are being kept up because these different beings, or you can call them spheres, are still fighting over territory. You understand what I'm saying? They still uh, having these leaders of the countries over here on Earth fighting one another. Uh, some of them feed off of fear. Some of them feed off of being wanting to be worshipped. That's why in my book, The Creation of the Creator, I break a lot of this stuff down on the war between the snake and Jehovah in the Bible. They want to say that Jehovah and Yahweh is the same God. No, they're not. They're two different people. They're brothers. One is NL is Jehovah. Yahweh is Enki. And you can look this out. You can look all this up, but they want to say they're the same people, and that's just goes to show you how. And I don't want to illiterate, or I can just say ignorant, which means to ignore. Ignorant means to ignore the facts. And you sitting up here listening to what a dude is telling you, what a chick is telling you, these preachers, and you ain't doing your right diligence and studying the word of God or the word of Allah. If you start studying and get outside that box, you'll see that this God of the Bible, he's a straight killer, and he killed over 1 million people. And, the devil, how many he killed? I don't think he even got to kill 10. So it's just a lot of different. Looks like I'm hearing something behind me. Excuse me. Oh, okay, that's the cat. You trip, man. Um, and so He's scratching my furniture. Y'all, excuse me. Cut that out. Uh, when you start, Steve, when you really start studying, getting off into other religions and stuff like that, you can start seeing that, some of the hidden knowledge and all lies that you've been told, you know, because this generational thing, just because your grandmama was a Christian, and great grandmama was a Jehovah Witness, and it's hand down from generation to generation. You ain't got to follow that. My mother was a Christian, a Baptist. I went to Baptist church when I was small. I was around 12, 13, 14 years old when I was made to go to church. Uh, I stopped going to church when I was around 14, 15. And when I was 17, I joined the Nation of Islam. I was in there for about 15, 20 years or something like that. And after I figured that out, then I got to study metaphysics from there. And I didn't follow no traditions of my family. I followed my spirit, what was being told to me by my inner self, by my higher self. I started looking within and could not without looking up, praying to this white boy with long hair and a gold tee or a beard, you know what I'm saying, and a white robe. Yeah, I got out of that shit years ago. But it almost want to get me into the parallel, between Tiamat and Sophia, because this is kind of touching on that too. And Eddie and I hope that we're gonna bring one other person in. I think we're gonna bring also uh, Scorpion King in. We usually, if you've been watching some of our stuff, it's usually the three of us kicking it. We was doing some work about Agatha, Shambhala, the Antarctica. Go back and look at some of them videos, y'all. Um, I didn't have no specific name for this one except for climate control, but you know, some of the stuff, sex and the 444, which what JC spoke on. That's a frequency, megahertz, and it's way off of the universal frequency and the Earth frequency. Of these megahertz that these rappers are listening to, and how these rappers, some of them know and some of them don't. I don't know how educated. Some of them seem to be pretty educated when they speaking on some of the interviews that they be having. But I just be wondering, do you know what you feeding? These brothers and sisters out here with this foolishness. It's okay to see a naked sister damn near with thumbs up the crack of her ass and shaking her butt in front of the whole world, for a couple of $1,000, whatever she's getting paid on the video. And brothers calling our sisters bitches and hoes. And they just making us look like a race of disrespectful idiots. But then that's just that's the climate. Well, that's what's going on out here right now. Uh, and so we can see uh, some of the information that's being fed to our brothers and sisters. It's negative and uh, uh, I wanted to get on snake worship and stuff like that, satanic worship and stuff. But we're gonna cover a lot of that Tuesday, Tiamat and Sophia. So I don't wanna repeat myself on that, but you see a lot of what they call fallen stars now. And I'm not talking about stars falling out the sky. I'm talking about in the entertainment world. These stars are falling, they taking them down. And because a lot of these brothers and sisters that are actors on TV, those are your fallen stars. That's what I mean. Are starting, they're getting tired of Hollywood, all the satanic shit that's going on up there, and that stuff been going on. Um, and don't forget about the conquistadors. Them some bitches that's busy. Those are NL's kids. They look like us, but they ain't us. Yeah, those are the ones that are behind a lot of this shit that's going on. They also got a battle for Earth. In the Bible, God said He gonna give His people a land. Well, if you from here, you should be already born in a land. So why guy got to go take somebody's land to get to you? Go over there and kill all them people that you had all that shit. You just move in their house, kill women, kids. Well, you can have the women, kill the kids, and kill some of the women if they rebellious. But it's a cold-blooded God in the Bible. I don't worship stuff like that. You Christians need to hear this. Yeah, y'all need to wake up for real. But anyway, when I said don't forget about the conquistadors, the ones that look like us and ain't us, NL's kids, the ones that, those are the ones in the Bible, basically, that God chose, promised them land, and Jews got it all twisted. Those people that calling themselves over there Jews and with them Europeans over in Europe, over in Israel. Talking about they the chosen children of God and all of this. And there's just so many different stories about the chosen children of God. Farrakhan speaks on it. I guess if God did choose somebody, it sure wouldn't be them evil ass white folks. Why would you choose them? I mean, they're over there, uh, just a few months ago. He dropped a bomb over there in Palestine. He killed what, 70 some thousand people, probably more than that, because they ain't gonna tell the truth. Let me get back in the camera, excuse me. And I don't know. It's just some strange times, that we're living in right now, and all the lies that we've been told. But we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into all them lies that we've been told. And I've been saying for years, man, that all black people ain't from Africa. I don't give a damn what they say. Well, they migrated here. These Afrocentric Negroes, or these enlightened Negroes. Well, everybody started from one place, and they all came from Africa. Well, them black folks over in Brazil, I tell you, they ain't came from damn Africa. The natives over there, they said we were brought here. They got their record. So how you get out of that one? Now go talk to some of them native tribes over there in Brazil. They said, no, we ain't from Africa. Our DNA is totally different. And our DNA is different in America from the Africans. Because we was from Africa, we would have the same DNA that them Africans got. And we don't. They ain't gonna tell you that. You just gotta study. Get your own receipts. We've been over here in America for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years. They've been over there in Brazil, them native Brazilians and black folks that they done put in the ghetto over there, just like they do everywhere else. Chinese, they threw all them black folks off, killed some of them, put them in the ghetto. Japanese, and in my book, I explain all this. I explain all this in the creation of the Creator, on how God was created. So I think you're gonna find it very interesting to just sit around. Sometimes I just like to come up and just kick a subject. I might be all over the place, but I do try to stay on one subject so you can understand and go to another. But um, yeah, I explain, uh, and Eddie said in my book, like I said now, so it might be done in 2 or 3 weeks or so. I told him take his time because when it come out, it's about 350 pages or more. Uh, it covers a lot of information about how long these Europeans been on there, how long these Japanese and Chinese have been on there. Trust me, at one time the earth was just black, folks, just straight black. Wasn't no Chinese here, especially these fake Indians over here talking about they Native Americans. They ain't some of the slaves that the Europeans brought over here pretending they brought us from Africa. And they brought them over here. They were slaves, and then they said, "Well, hell, we took these niggas' land, so we got to come up with some kind of narrative. We got to come up with some kind of story, you know, uh, so that we got to rewrite this damn history for these niggas find out that this is their land. We took. They've been over here for hundreds of thousands of years. We can't tell them that, so we got to rewrite history and write our damn self in history. And hell, these slaves that we brought from over in Africa, these uh these Indians over here, if you look at them, they look like that. They kind of mix with a little bit of Chinese or Japanese and some white folks. But they're not a natural mixture of earth, that's for sure. You can call them a natural mixture if they're Europeans and Japanese or Chinese or Mongolians or whatever you want to call them. That's what they look like to me. But they ain't native over here. Them some bitch was brought here to take our place because they didn't want us to know that we've been here. So they had to bring somebody to pretend that we took the land from them. Yeah, right. You took it from us, black folks. You take it from them. They didn't even exist. I broke that shit down too. They wasn't even here. And Bobby Hemmett even said a lot of this conquistador stuff, like he called them artificial spirits, uh, counterfeit spirits is what he called them. He said before white folks and Japanese and Chinese, before they came over here, this kind of deception that white folks is doing right now today, and that they've been doing, and what they did 400, 500 years ago, this Columbus bullshit, that they had been doing this. Uh, the conquistadors, Enel, Enki, Anu, Marduk, Nanuta, which is the son of Enel. Marduk is the son of Enki. And they send their sons out. These are what they call your angels. Because these are the gods that got their angels. And these angels are their kids. For real. By females. We get into that. We get into that with Tiamat and Sophia. Then you start kind of understanding more. It's basically uh, uh, it's going to be uh, the illumination, the book of the dead, really versus the Council of Nissan, the Council of Tran, and all of these other crackers that was writing the Bible, taking stuff out. Uh, God, what are they? The God gnosis, the early Christian worship. Uh, it's gonna be them versus these old ass scriptures because Christianity ain't that old. Islam is not that old. They want to say Christianity is 2,000 years old. Bullshit. Yeah, ain't no damn 2,000 years old. The disciples never called them Celtic. themselves Christians. Jesus never called himself a Christian. No, the David of Solomon, Elijah, Isaiah, John the Baptist. They ain't called them damn self no damn Christians. That's some bullshit. Yeah, that's what was his name? That came up that did a play for some king or some council or some Pisco. Yeah, it's Pisco. And his real name will come to me. So, flake is bacon. Yeah, for flake is bacon. Yeah, Pisco. What was the nickname? Doing King James era and all that old shit. Yeah, if you study, you start seeing what I see and start understanding what I'm saying to you here. Like I said, I just got on here just to kick it because I ain't been on here in a while. But we're gonna bring some top-notch subjects to you starting Tuesday. This here, just give you a little taste on some of my stuff that I've been doing. And I always write stuff down. Always. Yeah, I got my notes. Uh, uh, I got a lot of stuff that I'm gonna be covering. You know, I asked the question: Were the Archons, the Archons, and the reptilians or the Anunnakis, who were the first one to arrive on Earth? They tell you it was the Anunnakis. Uh, and then I think it was the reptilians, and then the Archons. That's Sophia's kids. That's another story. We ain't gonna get into that. Then I asked a question about who built Shambhala and Agartha. Now I had asked that question before, and supposedly Marduk, son of Enki, went down there. But if you let the Hindu people uh, speak on it, Shiva and them did it, and their gods. And he's supposed to have a palace down there, Shiva. The underworld. Don't forget sister Inanna when she stripped her sister. What was her name? Uh, Nasida, something like that. I'll get that right. But anyway, that's what hell and Hades is about. When they say you're going to hell, you're going to Hades, and all that. Oh, that's Shambhala and Agatha. Then I wrote down some other stuff. You know, uh, I wanted to know where the Atlanteans came from, and we supposed to be part of that. We supposed to be part of the Atlanteans, part of the Ritz. Uh, some of us is part of the Anunnakis, which I know the Kissadars are because Enki and Elena knew they had kids down here with earthly women. Oh, they are your fallen angels. You know what I'm saying? So God's sons saw that they were fair and took them to be wives, and the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair. In other words, they were fine and started hitting them. You know what I'm saying? So they're getting that thing. So I mean, that's part of some of the hidden knowledge that if you start studying, that you'll start seeing. How real it really is. Uh, yeah, I wanted to know. Which which group of black people are the Atlanteans? Which group of black people are, of course, a lot of DNA has been mixed because there wasn't no black people here, you know, hundreds of thousands of years ago. Wasn't nobody here but black folks. So some of them were Atlanteans. Like I said, some were Radiant, some were the sons of the Anunnakis. Uh, then I asked them name of the beings that live in the water down there. because they showed in the Abyss that those are some beings down there with big ass cities and shit. 'Cause you can go so far down, and ain't no at the bottom of the ocean ain't no water down there. There's caves and cabins. That's where Argoth and Shambhala starts. You can get down there through the oceans and the seas. Uh, oh yeah, Counterfeit Spears, Bobby Hemmett. That's a good tape. Y'all need to check that out. He tell you a lot about that too. And then the dragon and the serpent deities, uh, the reptilians, come on in the Bible, the snake, the dragon, all that is from the serpent in the Bible, from Tiamat. Um, how they made the female look like she was a beast. Well, they cold, ain't they? Yeah. Then I asked another question. Are people worshiping the snake? Yeah, that's what they're snoke. They snake worships. That's Christianity. All that shit. Uh, Reptilians come up with that religious stuff. Uh, so when you start going into, you might not understand how people worship the snake. But if once you start studying, you'll start understanding. I ain't gonna break all that stuff down right now, no way, because I gotta get them go to work tomorrow. It's getting late. But we're gonna have a certain subject that I will be doing. I'll break it down another time on how snake worshiping and the Baphomet, the goat, the savage goat, or the goat of Mandez, Baal worshippers. They all split up into, you know, Islam, Christianity, Shiite, Sunni, yeah, all these uh, uh, different religions, Hinduism, uh, yeah, they worshiping dragons and snakes and shit undercover. And a lot of them don't have the knowledge that this is what they're doing, worshiping these deities or these false gods. You know, and sometimes they represent themselves as certain types of animals, and that's we do it today. America's the eagle, Russia's the bear, China's the dragon. That's their symbol, for their continent. So, you know, uh, you'll be surprised once you start breaking some of the stuff down. Yeah, same thing that they did back then. They're doing the same thing now. They got their own symbols. Enki, he got his symbol, the god Enki. He was the Brotherhood of the Snakes. Yeah. So, look at the Ku Klux Klan, the White Brotherhood. Back then, it was called the White Brotherhood. Now it's called the Ku Klux Klan. That's what Albert Pike and Doriel. It was under the White Brotherhood. So, and where'd they get it from? Africa? They got it from these what they call fallen angels, these Anunnakis, these ones that brought this kind of knowledge here, the Lunar Lish, the Book of the Dead, you know, brought about Giza, brought about Giza. They got it from these books, man. They study, just like I study, you know. And they picked up a lot of stuff, man. And once you start doing all this studying, you'd be surprised, man. You see the puzzle start getting in there. First, I thought it was a giraffe. Now it's starting to look like an elephant. Getting some more books, reading some more books, doing some more studying online with documents. Now it's starting to look like a rhinoceros. You keep piecing the puzzle in there, and you say, "Oh wow!" Okay, I- this is what they're saying. And that's a hell of a thing when you en- become enlightened. It's called enlightenment. Start seeing stuff. You'll get on that frequency. And different things start happening. Different beings will come to you. You can call them angels or whatever the hell you want to call them. You can call them demons. You can call them deities. You can call them gods, angels. But once you get on a certain frequency, they start to show themselves. I'm telling you, I know it didn't happen to me. I still got a lot to learn. Seems like the more I know, the more it is to know. Uh, but I was just so crazy about religion when I was growing up. That's when I went straight up into metaphysics. I went into Egyptology. I went into Buddhism. I studied voodoo. I studied, never practiced none of this shit. Now, don't get me wrong. If voodoo ain't really negative, it all depends on how you use it. Because you use Christianity as a negative vice. You know what I'm saying? You can be a hypocrite. Oh, yeah, Jesus loves you. How much money you got? Yeah. So that's just that you might as well be practicing a bad art, where you reeling people in, with your cons, your deception. Same thing, just a different name. You ain't doing voodoo, you're doing Christianity. You ain't doing voodoo, you're doing Islam. You the biggest hypocrite when it comes to Muslim. You don't pray 5 times a day. You don't do shit. You over there fighting. You over there killing folks in the name of Allah. I thought it was about love. Well, same with Christianity. Same with Hinduism. Yeah, same with everything. It all depends. You could turn any type of because voodoo is a religion, just like Christianity and Islam is a religion, and Buddhism, Hinduism. I mean, all that shit is it's a religion, so it's how you use it. Because I know enough about the Bible to where I can go start me a false church and pimp the shit out of some people. Because they listen to some of the stuff I got to say. I'm bad when it comes to the scriptures in Islam and in the Bible. I'm bad. Oh yeah, and I know it. So I mean, but I refuse to bring any type of negative energy my way. I don't like that. But I ain't gonna hold y'all because it's like I gotta be up at 6, quarter to 6. It's 10:30 now. I guess I can cross my legs and go to 11 because I don't need no more 4 or 5 hours of sleep. You get up to my age, you don't need no 8 and 10 hours of sleep. Even when I'm tired, I'll go to sleep about I go to sleep at 12. If I gotta get up and be to work at 6:30, 7, I go to sleep at 12 o'clock, and I'm gonna wake up around 4:35, sometimes 3:30, 4, and I'll lay there for a while, and I'll nod back up, and my alarm will go off. So you know, I don't need a whole bunch of sleep. I got a lot of energy for my age, and I'm happy that I do. I'm blessed to have been able to share with you out there what I know. and to just be blessed to have a job and make my bills and stuff like that, and put this book out. It's gonna be cheap. It all depends on what they charge me to print it, but it's still gonna be a pretty cheap book. So we're gonna do it like that. Keep it going, and y'all really gonna enjoy, you know, this book. It's a study guide. It's gonna be one of the best study books besides a holy tablet. That's a beautiful book to study. Dr. Malachi Yard. And they need to let that man out. I mean, the free Dr. Malachi Yard. He did that. I don't care what nobody say. I don't believe it. I don't believe he raised him no kids. And I just don't believe it. I don't believe he raised no little girl. I don't believe he raised no little boys. I think that some of the people that they got up there that gave some of them Negroes 100,000, 50,000, 25,000. Hey, get up there in the line. Let's get this nigga off the streets. That's what they did. Malachi Yard, in my opinion, is an honorable man. He just had too much knowledge. It was revealing these Europeans, and they didn't like that shit. They didn't like it, so they trumped up charges on him. You know, just like they trumped up charges on Malcolm and had him assassinated. That's what they do. You know, they trump up charges on our brothers and sisters and get them assassinated, get them in jail, and throw away the key on them. That man been in jail, 26 years now? Need to let that man out. But anyway, y'all, I'm winding down now. I just came on here just to kick a few things. Most importantly, y'all, we'll be on Tuesday about the parallel difference between Tiamat and Sophia. Is going to be so interesting. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. You're going to find out what Archons come from, where the Anunnakis come from, how all this shit was birthed, the creation of the Creator. So with that being said, y'all, I ain't going to hold you. Y'all be blessed. Let me know if you like this. Put some thumbs up. Y'all be blessed. Have a good night. Peace.